Hey everybody, this is Robert People of RobertPeople.com, and you're listening to People's Court. Thanks for tuning in. Today is Monday, April 22nd, 2019. Hope everyone has had a wonderful day so far and your evening is going well. I hate to break something to you all, especially to those of you who have dreams, big dreams, have goals, huge goals that you're looking to reach. But not everybody wants you to succeed. And this includes your so-called friends and family. Now, it's interesting, right? It seems pretty simple. You decide that you want to go ahead and pursue something. Okay, and I'm not talking about as important as it is, your day-to-day work, things like that. I'm talking about really go after something that is not expected to be or thought of as something everybody likes to do. For example, let's say you're in your, let's say you're in your 30s and you decide to go for your, for a nursing degree, something like that. Or, let me see, what else do we have? What else? You want to become an author. Let's just take what I do. You want to become an author. You want to be an actress, professional sports. What else we got? I mean, there's so many different things. And what we tend to do is that we look to friends and family. We talk about haters all the time. We always have to throw that around and everybody's a hater and all this and that. But when we look to certain members of our friends and family, those are people who, number one, it kind of surprises us that they're haters or they aren't as anxious for us to succeed as we thought or as we expected them to be. But the fact of the matter is, people like that always exist. And they're who I call toxic. Now, if you've heard the term toxic as far as people go, you already know what I'm talking about. But if you don't know, the word toxic means the same thing in this case. Okay? It means the exact same thing. We're talking about people who just are bad for you. Overall are bad for you. Now, I'm not referring to those who irritate you once in a while. Oh, we argue every so often, but all is well after a while. I'm talking about those who a toxic person is someone who just drains just almost everything out of you. And there's a big difference. A lot of us might not realize it, and it took me a while to realize this myself, but they just drain everything out of you. Just the thought of engaging with them just saps your energy. Unlike that person who you sort of, who you argue with, or you kind of don't get along, or, it all, basically with them, it all depends. But with a toxic person, there are almost no circumstances, no time where where you're happy to talk to her. It's just that, I got to call oh my God. And then you got to take some time to get your mind right to be able to be ready to deal with them. And even when you do all that, and you're exhausted before you even start talking to them. But even after you do all that, you engage with them, and you feel all that exhaustion and everything else after it's all done with. That's not good for us. That's why it's called toxic. And those are the people who tend to be around a lot as well when you're trying to work toward lofty goals, these big dreams that you have. Toxic people will show up, for one, because misery loves company and they have nothing better to do. But also because a lot of them simply just don't want to see you succeed. And we tend, and believe it or not, some of you may be listening, and I'm preaching to the choir, honestly, but some of you might be listening and saying, of course we know that. That's obvious, but it's not obvious to everyone. I see people say this all the time. Oh my goodness, that's my brother, that's my best friend, or my mother. Why are they hating on what I'm trying to do? Because that's just how some people are. It's not acceptable to say it like that. Or I'm sorry, saying just because I say it that way doesn't make an acceptable behavior, because it just isn't under any circumstances. But this is what you will get, and often from friends and family. It's sad. It's really a shame, but it happens. And what are the reasons? Well, I mean, goodness, there could be all kinds of reasons, and there's no way to sit here now and speak about each individual person's motivation behind being that way. But and of course, they would never see anything wrong with their actions. Why would they? But why? Well, just some of my own personal theories, and this is just me, and I'm sure those of you listening probably have your ideas as well of what you've seen. But just some of what I've seen is, let's take, for example, and I'll give you an example here, because I've had friends tell me about this type of situation. You have, you're in a group of, let's say you're female. You have weight issues, you're overweight. Okay. And you're hanging with friends, and most of your friends are thin, skinny, much better health, and everything is well. Everything is good, fine. You're not thrilled about your weight and everything, but it's like, you've learned to live with it, especially as far as these friends are concerned. Now, let's say one day you have the nerve, the absolute gall, to wake up and say, you know what? I need to lose this weight. And you go let your friends know, let that your girlfriends know that you want to do this. Now, all of a sudden, attitudes change. It's not you go, girl. Now, everybody in the group may not be like this. It might be just one or two individuals, but no, you're not getting a pat on the back. You're not being celebrated. It's not good. It's, the attitude towards you changes, behavior, everything. And that's just the way it goes. For whatever reason, well, maybe. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons that could exist there. Maybe they're happy with you being in the group because it's a way to look down upon you. Oh, we have somebody who can make us feel better about ourselves, but that's a whole different. I can go on and on about that, but that happens very often. And again, no telling how long they've been friends. Anything that you're trying to do, and somebody comes along and they simply aren't happy with the fact that you're doing it. They don't wish you luck, and they want you stuck there for who knows what reason. Maybe they're lacking something in their lives, and if you're improving your life, that's just a reminder to them of what all they're not doing. Really, that's what it comes down to. Because if someone is achieving what they want to achieve, they would almost be, and just my opinion here, but they would almost be encouraged to see others working towards something themselves. Think about it. If I'm in the gym, I'm looking at people and I'm thinking, yes, good, great. I love to see this. But imagine somebody who's not going to the gym. Matter of fact, all of my friends out there, all of you who go to the gym, you exercise and so forth, you have people on your list who get a little huffy when you talk about going to the gym, don't you? We all do. And the reason for that is not because because they're going to the gym themselves. It's because they're guilty at the fact that they're not going. And that's their way of trying to pull you down and make fun of you or whatever. But anyway, and again, there's tons of examples that can be given here. But my whole point of this is to provide you with some encouragement when you encounter people like that. And it hurts too. It stings some, depending on who it is, may hurt more, a little more than it would if it were other people and so on. But you're going to encounter people like that. Everybody's not going to be thrilled that you're doing what you're doing. They're not going to be happy about it. They're not going to encourage you. They're not going to support what you're doing. Whatever their reason is, I'm going to make this real simple. That is not your problem. Now, I can just turn this off right now and not even bother going into any more detail, because truthfully, that's what it comes down to. Often when someone has a problem with us, that problem is theirs. It's not ours. And especially when it comes to going after your dreams. Because you're not stepping, unless you are doing this, most of the time going after our dreams, trying to achieve lofty goals, we're not stepping on anybody's toes by doing this. It's just the fact that we're doing something that we feel is worthy, and other people just don't want to see us doing that. So that's not your problem that they're bothered seeing you go there. Now, of course, I didn't even mention the fact that they would try to tell you how much you won't accomplish whatever it is you set out to do. Yeah, they're going to tell you, oh, why are you trying this? Oh, you're too old to be a nurse now. Or you're too old to go to medical school. Oh, you're trying to get in the NBA? Wow. You know how hard that is? What else we got? Oh, you want to be an author? Yeah. Why? That's not a real job. You know, there's all kinds of things people are going to come at you with. But the thing to remember is this. They're talking to you based on their limitations, not yours. They're telling you what they would do. They're not telling you what you can and can't accomplish. So, and not to mention, how would they even know? How does somebody who doesn't write at all, has no involvement in it, how can somebody like that tell you that you won't make it as an author? Seriously. Same for medical school. I have no desire to be a doctor. Let's say I have no desire to be a doctor. How can I sit here and tell you that, well, it's too late to do it? Unless I saw some type of rule or regulation or policy from somewhere saying that it is. And there's all kinds of stories of people doing it later in life. So that those policies and so on don't exist. But unless I have something like that, how could I possibly know what you will and won't accomplish? I hope to anybody listening, I hope I'm speaking to somebody about this. When you are going after your goals and making your dreams happen, keep in mind, it's about you. And depending on what it is, let me rephrase that, because if you want to be a doctor, of course, it's about your patients. If you want to be a teacher, it's about the students. I mean, you guys get the idea. Making that goal happen is about you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying disregard children if you want to be a teacher, for example, or ignore the children. But it's about you to get to that spot so that you can help the children. That's what I'm talking about there. It's about you. You're going to have a lot of people. The closer you get to your goals, the more you are going to encounter people like that. There are going to be a lot of people who are just going to sit back and have everything wrong with what you have to say. And you can't get to a point where you're separating. The reason I say that is because it feels like, oh yeah, I can just put my enemy, everybody who's my enemy, those are the only ones who would hate on what I'm doing. Those are the only haters out there are my enemies. But the good thing, the good thing about people like that, the good thing about your enemies, and what makes them so much better than even your friends and family is because with your enemies, you know where they stand from the beginning. You know where they stand from day one. There is no question. You know where they're coming from. You see it. You're like, hey, got it. So it really, to me at least, doesn't hurt as much coming from an enemy. But it's when your family, when your friends, and when I say family, I'm not talking about distant family. This is something we all got to understand with this thing, too. We're not talking distant third cousin from this person twice removed from the partridge in the pear tree and all this stuff. It's not somebody way out there. It could be mother. It can be father, brother, sister, anybody. I've read on Twitter many times where a writer has said their own mother, his or her own mother, or father said, why are you doing this? You're not that good. You know what I mean? And yeah, we can sit here and play this game of, oh, you're getting the truth and they're just being truthful with you and all this and that. Let's save all that stuff. If it's not for you, you'll find that out. But that's not for some random person to say. I have 2 children. I can't tell either one of them what they'll accomplish and what they won't. Because I'm not the one who gets to decide that. But you'll have people like that all the time. And we often make excuses for it too. And it's not bad because we want to think the best. This is how we do. We want to think the best of those who, we expect the best from. No one expects their mother to tell them, you'll never be able to do this, or their father or aunts, uncles, close aunts, uncles, and so forth. Nobody expects that, but it happens. It happens. We sit back and we just expect that they won't be that way, and that's what that they are. And we try to shield ourselves by saying, okay, well, that's my mother, so, or that's my father, or, oh, well, such and such, that's just that's how he is, or she's just like that, oh, she's like that with everybody. Ever heard that one before? We find every excuse to allow these toxic individuals to remain in our lives, and then we wonder why we can't accomplish our goals, why we can't reach our dreams, what's holding us back, why can't I get there? And you're keeping them close too. You're keeping them so close that they basically got your hand. Imagine somebody, and I'm going to say they have their hands in what you're doing. Imagine trying to cook something. You have this big pot. Okay, let's maybe making chili or whatever the case is. You have this huge pot and you're stirring, and then someone comes along and they just dip their hands in and they're pulling stuff out and putting other stuff in there. They're just disrupting everything. To where you can't cook. Every time you try to stir, something else is wrong. They take the spoon and give you something else that you can't stir with. It's everything. This is what toxic people do. The ones you keep close, the ones you keep making excuses for and saying, oh, they need to be there because that's my mother or that's my best friend or I knew this person way back, whenever the heck. That's what they're doing. That's how toxic people affect us. We're trying to make one thing happen. And just their attitude, their behavior, the way they don't want to see you succeed, the way they hate on what you're doing, that is disrupting everything. And if you don't know, or if you haven't seen this, if it hasn't happened to you, I guarantee you have a friend who's dealt with that. And I'm talking about they've had that person or think about it like this. How many of you have friends out there and one day they're gung-ho, they're just, oh my goodness, I'm ready to do this thing, I'm gonna make this happen, nobody's gonna stop me, none of that. And then the next day they're like ready to quit. They're ready to quit. They're not even talking about this anymore, and they turn around and tell you that they engaged with somebody. Or I just talked to my mother last night, or I talked to my friend, or they talked to whoever. And right after that, and I'm talking about because of the response. Now, everything about what they're trying to do, they're not nearly as happy as they are. They're not nearly as excited. And this is what happens all the time. I could talk about this all day, but the bottom line is this. Do not expect people to be as excited about your dreams as you are. They are your dreams, not theirs. People have this thing against saying, I don't know. So if you ask them or you bring it to them in some type of way, you present this to them, they're not going to say, oh, I don't know whether you could do this or not. They're going to, on the fly, guess whether you can do it. Oh, you quit this one thing 10 years ago? Oh, yeah, you'll never amount to anything ever in your life, ever in your life, ever. Right? We know people like that, too. That's like one time, boy, they never let you forget that, right? I mean, they just keep on coming with it. God gives us many chances, many. So who in the world are these people on earth trying to tell us we don't deserve second chance, right? We don't deserve more than one chance at something, especially when it comes to achieving our dreams. Nobody knows except you and God. And that's what I want you all to take from this. Don't sit back and expect everybody to be as happy as you. And be prepared for people you are or were close to be your biggest hecklers, to be the main ones to try to tell you that you can't do it. And don't listen to the thing where people, I'm just telling you the honest truth. Or I'm a real friend because of this. Or I'm telling you because I love you. Don't listen to that stuff. That's nonsense. And if anybody out there thinks it's not nonsense, or you're the one who says something like that, leave me a comment on this. And I'll tell you to your face exactly how much nonsense it is. Because people like that, they can be truthful to everybody in the world but themselves. Or let somebody bring some truth onto them. Don't listen to people like that. You have a dream, you go out there, you make it happen. That's it. You make it happen, you do what you got to do. People are not going to want you to succeed. The biggest names out there, Beyonce, when he was alive, of course, Michael Jackson, LeBron James, millions of fans love them. And they still got people saying that they're garbage, that they're not this and that, or don't want them to succeed, want them to fail. Even though you see all of what they've accomplished, right? But there's still people who are going to watch it. So no matter how far you get, no matter where you go with this, those people are never going to go away. Haters exist because that's what they do. They don't disappear. This particular person might go, but for everybody who leaves, 5 or 10 will come back in their place, especially the better you do. So understand this. Remember, let them be. Don't let them be the ones to tell you that you can't do it. And you'll come across people who disagree with me. That's okay. You're allowed to do that. But what I'm telling you is, I don't know whether you can accomplish whatever you're going to accomplish. You don't know. These people running their mouths don't know. But you know how you find out? By getting out there and making it happen. Not everybody wants to see you succeed. This includes so-called friends and family. That's okay. That is their problem, not yours. Again, I'm Robert People. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a wonderful evening.